When Sue and I got married, we went and saw the local priest, or vicar, or whatever he was, of the Uniting Church. And he said, "Do you believe in heaven?" And I said, "Oh, Christ, here we go. It's going to be religion." I said, "Well, not really." He said, "It does exist, you know. Heaven is a wedding without a photographer." So, yes, welcome to families and friends, half of which I've yet to meet, and I just lost a friend. We're in an interesting situation here. We arrived in Australia in 1978 and did 3 or 4 years in Melbourne, then up to Sydney, then over to New Zealand again for a couple of years, which we managed to acquire Simon, and then came back to Melbourne after escaping 21% mortgages, interest only, solicitor finance month to month. Thank you, Robert Muldoon. We obviously thrived back in Melbourne and loved every bit of it. I must admit, though, I went to one of those awful corporate dues the other day, and we had to stand up and say something that no one knew about you. So I stood there and I thought, what am I going to say? They don't know about me. So I stood up on last Monday, and I said, "Nobody knows, but I've actually voted Labor." I'm probably known for my slightly right of centre views on politics, but it was actually in Wellington, when we went back to Wellington, we voted Bob Hawkins, so probably the best reforming government ever Australia had after Gough. Sorry. Anyway, the funny thing is, of course, that when we swallowed the gum tree in Mount Waverley a few years ago, we realised that Simon was going to have to pay full fee up front if he went to university, which looked like he was going to. So we actually decided to swallow the gum tree, and we went along to Mount Waverley citizenships ceremony. They still did it in Mount Waverley. I believe that a few other councils in Melbourne are no longer doing citizenship ceremonies. Anyway, Julie did our thing, and because Joanna was under 18, she actually got typed on the back of my citizenship certificate. She was the only one that was born in Australia, but it seemed a little unfair, but she was the only one with the Carlton birth certificate. Anyway, look, so on we go. That it is a great delight to welcome everyone and say hello to and present my beautiful daughter and her lovely husband. And I mean, the joke is that we have known Anthony for a couple of years. And it was a delight to welcome into our family, and I think Joanna was chosen very well. I think Anthony's chosen pretty well too, actually. One of my hopes when we were bringing up Joanna, that she was a character. I wished that Joanna would have a child just like her. I received a video from Joanna the other day, Charlotte demonstrating her newfound trick of putting peas up her nose and blowing them out to the other side. I recall removing a button from Joanna's nose with a pair of dental forceps about the same age. So we've done this funny thing. We've gone back to New Zealand. We've deserted the spawn. We've left them in the country of their birth and choice. And we probably see more of them, and see a lot more of them than we would if they lived down the road, because you get Skype out, you get email, you get text, you get photos, you bring them over for Christmas or February and things like that. And it's really only 3.5 hours away. And you go through duty free. And part of the joy of having the children come across en masse, 4 adults and 3 kids, or 2 kids, is that they collect the gin for me. And so as I'm now about 2 or 3 weeks from retirement, I've now got some 80 bottles of gin in the cupboard. The Eddington and Co arrived, remember, they drank a lot. Anyway, I'm not sure for how long we'll be back in New Zealand. We've sort of said to the kids, I will be back, I think. It's a great, it's just so much easier to pop over and see them. It's not a big problem. We've got a spectacular 30-acre block called The Farm, as Joanna calls it, the magic place. Resuming by New Zealand citizenship and behaviours, etc., it's quite a thing. I think just like to point out that finally I can be proud of the local rugby team. For Christ's sake, even New Zealand can beat Bangladesh. However, sorry, enough profanities and went around. Thank you for coming. Thank you for celebrating a marriage of which we're extremely proud. Delighted to have the Davies join the Norrises. They have informed they are coming over in February this year, essentially for Heather to drink the gin. And welcome and enjoy yourselves. It's an absolute pleasure to host you. And on behalf of my daughter, my wife, my family, my new son, welcome and thank you very much for coming.
Yeah, you blokes better be careful. I've got something on you blokes. It's great to see so many of Anthony and Joanna's family and friends here today to help celebrate their marriage. I would like to give a special thank you for those who travelled long distances to be with us today. That includes all you New Zealand people, yeah. And interstates, down the back there. I always remember the first time I met Joanna. Anthony said he was going out for dinner. Later that night he rings me up and says, I'm coming home with Joe. I told Heather that Anthony was coming home with Auntie Joe. Heather said, why is he coming home with Auntie Joe? We were both confused. And then Anthony arrived home with this lovely young lady. Heather was making excuses for the state of the house too. Now, I do like to cook, and during that evening I was trying my hand at making jam donuts for the first time. They weren't that great. But I was very happy when this lovely young lady said, those jam donuts are great. And after that, from that day forward, I knew that Anthony had picked a keeper. Anyone that likes my jam donuts must have good taste. It's the creative things that this lovely young lady has said, like this creative, special, like making up pet names. You like to make up pet names. I don't know whether you know Joanna, but so Joanna Davey, as our new daughter-in-law, Ladana and Hadana, would like to welcome you to the Davey family. Otherwise known as Sharon. Okay. Hi, hello, Charlotte. Yes, nice, yes. Okay, from that night on, they were inseparable. In fact, Anthony was hardly ever home. He was always over at the Norrises. Over the coming months, we understood how Anthony felt about Joanna as we fell in love with her too. Well, Anthony Charles Davey, you have not been the easiest child to raise. But who would have thought you'd finally get married after all the things that have happened in your life? But let me say how proud I am today and happy to see you finally get hitched. I must say though that I've always been a bit, you've always been a bit impulsive, and when you make up your mind to do something, it's very hard to change, and usually you've implemented it before any discussion. Within 4 years, you have sold a house in Traralgon, purchased a block of land in Clyde, put a house on it, moved in together with your beautiful wife now. Had a baby called Charlotte, sold Clyde property, purchased another in Langwarrin, and that's where they live today. So you've done a lot in 4 years' time. But anyway, Joanna and Anthony, we wish you both a long and very happy life together. And can we charge our glasses? And toast Joanna and Anthony.
Someone once told me a good speech is a good beginning and a good end, but a great speech never keeps... Sorry. A good speech keeps them very close together. So get ready for your speech, Simon, my best man. It's hard to really express our feelings on this special day, but wouldn't be such a special day without the presence of our family and friends, of which have travelled from overseas and interstate. So thank you. Joe and I are very humbled and honoured to have... Sorry. On that, so many of you have made the effort to be with us from near and far, to share this day with us. On behalf of my wife and myself, I would like to thank you. I hope you're all enjoying yourselves on this day as much as we are. And how well today is going is a reflection on the monumental efforts for all involved. So, as a tradition, I'd like to make a few thank yous. A first thank you goes to both the Norris and Davey parents for helping make this special day what it is today. Thank you very much. I'd like to thank my parents for putting up with me over the past 30 years, for your love and support, and making me the person I am today. A thank you to my new in-laws for accepting me into their family, and I am very privileged to appreciate the way you opened your home and lives to me. Thank you. Oh, that's not mine. Here we go. Next, no, we've got to still read this bit. Or is someone else doing that?
No, go.
Next, thank you is to the maid of honour and bridesmaid. Flower girls, you're all looking fabulous. Thank you. Oh. Second part of that is the wedding party, and I have to thank you for all your help and understanding and keeping Joe in line today. Next, thank you, the best man, my brother, Simon, and the groomsman, brother-in-law, also Simon. Thank you for your help and support in the most nerve-wracking day of my life. Much appreciated, guys. Thank you. Skip that. Okay.
I'm proofreading.
last but not least, my wife, Joanna. I am overwhelmed how amazing she looks and can't believe how lucky I am that she has agreed to be in my life. You are my soulmate, love of my life, and can't tell you how much of an unbelievable mother you are to the most amazing daughter, Charlotte. Look forward to spending the rest of our lives together and can't wait to see what the future holds. Thank you all again for your attendance and to help celebrate our marriage. It's over to you, Simon. Oh, no, over to Joe and then you, Simon.
Okay, so first of all, I'd like to thank my new set of parents, Heather and Lance. You've raised Anthony to be the most kind-hearted, loving and patient person I could hope to call my husband. To my mum and dad, you are my model of what marriage should be, and I can't thank you enough for all your support and love over the years. I'd like to make a special mention to Christine, who did all the alterations on my dress, and to Tao for the beautiful wedding cake she's made. Thank you to my beautiful bridesmaids for all your help and for keeping me nice and calm today, and I hope I wasn't too much of a bridezilla. To the groomsmen, thank you for bringing Anthony home in one piece from his bucks. Although I won't elaborate, but he did end up losing $200 off his bond. And those gentlemen on that table just there have a role to play in that. And finally, to my new husband, I'm so glad you chose me to be your wife. You're an amazing father to Charlotte, and I can't wait for this next chapter in our life together as Mr. and Mrs. Davey.
Beautiful. We just have a couple more speeches before we conclude. Can Simon come up to speak? Simon Davey?
Okay. Good evening, everyone. Since I'm pretty hopeless at speeches, I'll keep this short and sweet. Firstly, if you aren't already aware, I'm Anthony's younger brother, Simon, and it's truly an honour to be chosen as best man for this special occasion. Looking around the room, I would like to point out how stunning everyone is today, and I'm sure you would all agree with me in saying none more so than our breathtakingly beautiful bride, Joanna Davey. It is a real pleasure to welcome you into our family, for it feels as though I've gained myself a big sister. Also looking stunning is our two bridesmaids, Julie and Tran, and our two cheeky flower girls, Charlotte and Lily, and their wingman, Jack, who thankfully didn't run too much of a muck today. And last but not least, Anthony and Simon, you guys didn't scrub it too bad either. Now, over the years, since Anthony and Joe have been together, I've noticed a change in my brother. Since him, I've seen him mature into someone who is far more caring, considerate, and is now the loving father we see before us. Much of this I would contribute to Joe's loving and caring nature towards my brother, and of course, this is why we have ended up here today. Speaking about love, I cannot go past the little bundle of joy that is Charlotte, for only such a well-matched couple could bring into this world an amazing girl like Charlotte. And with that, could I please ask you to raise your glasses once again for my brother and his beautiful wife. Here's to sharing a lifetime together filled with love and happiness. To Mr. and Mrs. Davey. Thank you.
Good evening, everyone. On behalf of Tran and myself, congratulations to both Anthony and Joanna. Or should we perhaps now say Mr. and Mrs. Davey? You all look absolutely stunning, especially Joanna. That dress is just, yeah. I think I've told you enough today. And Anthony, I must admit, you don't look too bad yourself, so well done. For those of you who don't know me, my name is Julie Mason, and I have had the absolute privilege as Joanna's matron of honour today. I, in fact, actually met both Joanna and Anthony at the same time. We actually got chatting in the foyer of our maternal health centre, waiting for our babies to have their follow-up appointments with their maternal health nurses. This was when Charlotte was only a couple of months old. That's where our friendship started. Whilst we've been friends for nearly 2 years, it feels like we've been friends forever. Sometimes you meet a person and you just click like you've known them your entire life. We instantly found common ground in becoming first-time mothers, which over time has undoubtedly flourished into what will be a lifelong friendship. Sorry. We both share the same love affair for Fry's Turkish Delights, including the way they are stashed from our partners. In fact, Anthony, I believe Joanna has stashed one in the room this evening. Could you maybe check underneath her chair for me, please? She has a tendency of stashing things. Well, there you have it. On a serious note, we both enjoy having a really good conversation and giggle on our child-free coffee catch-ups, even if it's each other or in particular myself. We also enjoy exchanging on life's previous experiences and memories, and quite often yearn for how we would have loved to have shared in each other's life's journey sooner. But as the infamous saying goes, what will be, will be. So instead we now joke about sitting next to each other in rocking chairs, watching our grandchildren play, and reminiscing on wonderful memories like today. Getting to know Joanna quite well has also allowed me the opportunity to get to know Anthony too. Joanna quite often reflects on the memories on the memories you have both created together, and how much she loves and adores you and Charlotte above all else. Whilst getting to know the two of you has been amazing, one thing I have noticed about your relationship is your weirdness, which I think Lance has already covered. At the beginning, it was a little confusing to find some random third person being referenced in the room. It in fact turns out it's the both of you referencing each other with random first names. As you've heard this evening, one week it's Sharon, and the next week it's perhaps something a little cruder. But this makes your relationship unique, and all couples have their own unique ways. In fact, the late Dr. Seuss could not have written any better himself, and I quote, "We are all a little weird, and life's a little weird. And when we find someone whose weirdness is compatible with ours, we join up with them and fall in mutual weirdness and call it love." Joanna, you are truly a beautiful, kind, honest and caring woman. Both Anthony and yourself together have proven that you are an empowered team, loyal and hardworking. Anthony, I could ramble on with marriage advice, like always answer yes dear, or as the saying goes, happy wife, happy life. But in fact, every couple will have their ups and their downs. It is inevitable, and they're bound to have their differences. However, it's how you get through it that makes your love stronger. So with that, I ask everyone to please raise your glasses in a toast to the bride and the groom. Joanna and Anthony, may you both live long and happy lives together, filled with laughter and happy tears, continuing to enrich not only each other's lives, but the lives around you both. To Mr. and Mrs. Davey. Cheers. Thank you.